had yet to drop, Kat called me. Knowing I was at least 5 years older than the boys, I felt safe enough to call out the blatant misogyny they had already deemed acceptable. What they said in response, I can't quite remember now. But what I do remember is a white boy leaning up against his bike, calling me chink. The effect was immediate. My heart rate sped up. My tongue felt heavy, foreign in my mouth. I could barely bring myself to breathe, much less speak. That Monday, I was already in the process of planning this rally. I've been taught to speak up for myself, to stand for justice, but at that moment, I was paralyzed. San Mateo is the city I grew up in. I've gone downtown with my family on weekends for as long as I can remember to eat sushi, ramen, dim sum, hot pot, you name it, San Mateo probably has it. I always see faces that look like mine as I walk down B Street or down my own street. After all, San Mateo is a part of the Bay Area that prides itself in its supposed progressiveness and diversity, though the latter is dwindling with big tech's steady gentrification of the landscape. But there I was, sitting in my liberal California hometown's park downtown, reeling from a slur thrown in my face like it was nothing. Across the park, from where the boys stood, near the Japanese garden, there's a memorial dedicated to the 442nd Infantry Regiment, a World War II fighting unit of over 12,000 Japanese American soldiers. To me, there's little that feels more American than fighting in overseas wars. The plaque serves as a reminder, carved in stone, that contrary to the content of most American history books, Asians have been here. We are American, and we are part of the fabric of its history. Yet to be Asian American today is still to exist in a perpetual state of foreignness, both in the country we call home and in the countries we are told to go back to. We don't want you here. The first recorded use of the slur chink was in 1880. I imagine it was used to dehumanize and alienate the Chinese people prohibited in law from immigrating to the supposed land of the free through the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. Almost 150 years later, the same slur is still used for the same purposes. The recent violent murders of our elders, of other AAPI folks, would not be possible without this dehumanization. But this isn't something that happens overnight, and it is not solely the result of individual cruelty and hatred. The tagline, "Stop Asian Hate," is misleading in that way. There is a larger systemic issue that needs to be addressed beyond the interpersonal feelings hatred implies. We need to remember that racism isn't something new to Asian Americans. The recent hate crimes aren't un-American, and we would be remiss to dismiss them as such. If anything, they're quintessentially American. This is the same America built on the backs of enslaved people. The same America that uprooted Japanese Americans from their homes to place in internment camps. The same America that continues to brutalize black bodies. Too long have we been spoon-fed the narrative that we can keep our heads down and work our way out of racism. In order to truly stop Asian hate, we need to strive for the liberation of all from white supremacy. As Aboriginal activist Lola Watson said, "If you have come to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is bound with mine, then let us work together." Thank you so much. So now I'd like to turn it over to